Pizza guys of Reddit, what's the strangest thing you've seen when delivering pizzas? I deliver for DoorDash and Grubhub. Sometimes pizzas. One time I picked up an order from each app. Same exact order. From the same restaurant. Both named James. To the same hotel. When I knocked on the door, two guys were there and asked me which was I. DoorDash or Grubhub. I told them I was both and have both orders. They started to laugh really hard. When I asked what was so funny, they told me they had a bet on which one would come first. They thought it was going to be two different drivers and never thought one person would be using both apps. I laughed too and asked them which one was James. They told me they are both named James. I still wonder what other funny things those two guys try come up with. Customer paid with a card and he had instructions to leave the pizza on a bench in a public area. Drop it off and quickly leave the area. I left but pulled on a side street where I could see the bench. I wait probably close to 5 minutes and then I see a man bust out of a dilapidated building I thought was empty. He runs up and grabs the pizza. He spins a whole 360 degrees and he is glancing in every direction as if he was afraid he was being watched. Then he hurries back to the place and when he gets to the door he sees me and his eyes get huge and wide. Paranoid and fearful. He slammed the door shut. I just think he was tweaking or something wouldn't be out of the ordinary around here. That's me eating pizza while on a diet. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Was delivering to a hotel. Had a guy pass out on me 3 separate times in a 10-minute encounter. Apparently he was narcoleptic. But it still scared the crap out of me. Narcoleptic here. He was probably having a cataplexy attack. We don't actually pass out. We're still conscious but we lose control over our muscles so we look passed out. There's also the scenario where it's only partial. And it looks like a seizure because we try to move only to cause spasms. It's triggered by emotion so he probably got nervous or something. I delivered to a hotel in the middle of a local golf course. Called the number to let them know I was there and was told to come on up. Get to the room and when the guy answered, there was a large group of guys. All in golf attire. Surrounding a single guy in a chair. He was bound and blindfolded. The one that answered didn't even bat an eye. Just asked how much and tipped me $30 bucks. Warily I took the money and walked away. But before the door was fully closed, I heard one on the guys ask, I wonder if he knows this is a. Before I even left the parking lot. The guy that answered the door called me to say that the bound guy was his brother and he was bound and blindfolded because it's his bachelor party and the stripper was waiting to come out. I just showed up way earlier than they thought I would. Some dude opened the apartment door completely naked. I was stunned but what came after that made me ask myself, is he some kind of ducking magician? He put a hand behind his back and pulled a wallet. Only reasonable explanation I could give myself was that he tucked the wallet between his butt cheeks. Quite the power move TBH. Just simply coming up and there were 3 guys in underwear waiting for me. Handing the pizzas over and more just start coming out in underwear and these were also wearing cowboy hats and native headdresses. Some kind of bro Halloween party or something. Got to grab my tip out of the dude's bra. I had 2 teenage girls open the door in their underwear. As a joke I guess. They were probably 16 or something. They think it's funny but I had to report it to my manager and hope nothing came of it. I was like 20 at the time. Some guy ordered a large pet pizza. When I got to the house he wasn't there so I called him out. He told me he was in the bathroom taking a shitty and I had to wait 18ish minutes to get my pay. Just the other day showed up to a house to be greeted by 2 guys, about 25, on the roof in underwear clearly ecstatic about the pizza being delivered. Had someone answer the door once with a snake on his shoulders. Not like a milk snake or a garter but a bull python. Probably about 6 feet long. As he closed the door I heard him say to someone that I hadn't reacted at all lol. Sounded so disappointed. Edit to clarify. This was almost a year ago. I am not a snake expert so it is quite possible I misidentified the species. Thanks to those who pointed out my mistake. I delivered a pizza to a young girl who was home alone, and when she opened the door her dog immediately ran away. I handed her the pizza, got in my car, found the dog and returned it. She left me no tip, so I was feeling kind of salty about it on the way back to the restaurant. A few hours later her mother called the store asking to speak to me. She thanked me and explained they had left tip money, but their daughter was so upset about the dog she forgot to give it to me. I worked at this pizza place for 2 more years through college, and they would get 2 large pepperoni pizzas and request me to deliver it every week after that. They always tipped me at least $25. Not mine. My father's story from back when. Was delivering 4 Domino's into a quite wealthy area. Knocks on the door. But of shuffling around inside. Guy opens it wearing a silk smoking jacket. Woman in the background on the couch full naked. Hands my dad $100 bill for the 1 pizza order and asks, "If you can go grab me a gallon of milk and bring it back. Keep the change." They got their milk. Back in college when I used to deliver pizzas, I delivered to the local county jail. An officer was taking someone to jail. The guy going to jail, still with his hands cuffed behind his back, got away from the officer and took off as I was walking in and ran into me. I'm pretty sure this guy was tripping on meth. The officer caught up to both of us on the ground and were able to subdue him. I was covered pizza sauce and the officers on shift took the pizza, paid, and each gave me $20. I told my manager and we remade the order for the officers and I redelivered the order. The police were grateful and I was given another tip. 1 deliver and I made about $400. Semicolon. I should add, every time they ordered pizza from us again they always requested the guy who knew how to take a charge. And would always tip me well. Good times. I was delivering a pizza to a high-rise once on a Saturday night. Got in the elevator and there was a guy dressed like a pimp who tried to buy my pizza from me that I was about to deliver. He didn't even ask what kind or what size, he just pulled out a $100 bill and said, "I buy that for $100, and I politely turned him down. So he pulled out another $100 and offered me $200. I told him I could get fired. Man. That was hard to turn down. Here's where things get totally ducked up. When I get to the door of the guy I am delivering it to, he opens the door and is dressed like a pimp also. Like, huge colorful jacket, and he grabs the pizza and gives me a $100 bill and shuts the door. Pizza was about $35. So a $65 tip. TLDR. I walked into a hotel room. There was a guy in a towel, a girl covered by blankets in the bed, and a handyman installing a pole. Another time, I was met by a woman who decided that wearing pants was optional. Delivered a pizza to the back door of a funeral home. 2 guys in their 20s answer the door, both wearing long black rubber aprons over their shirts and ties, and long black rubber gloves. The aprons were glistening with some fluid or other. Fortunately the guy paying took off his gloves before pulling out his wallet and paying. I was only 18 at the time. Kinda freaked me out. To the point that today, 42 years later, I still remember it. A previous co-worker of mine delivered pizza when he was in college, and he told me that he once pulled up to a house and a group of high schoolers ran across the street with a finish line when he got there. They ordered from Pizza Hut and Domino's at the same time. I don't remember which one he worked for, but he won the race. I delivered a pizza to this house, and when I was standing on the front steps waiting for the guy to pay, I could hear all this hootin' and hollerin' from inside. The guy keeps looking back into the living room and laughing. After punching in his info, he hands the machine back to me and says, "Duck man, you gotta see this." He steps back and I walk into the living room where there's probably 5 other dudes watching some guy duck this 700-pound woman's folded over stomach on a massive TV. I was delivering to a trailer park and heard the strains of bad karaoke from the driveway. Went and knocked on the door. Was greeted by a 50-something couple in their underwear who insisted I come in to set the food down and receive payment. The guy offered me a beer and asked me to stay and party. I told him I couldn't. My boss would be mad. He started doling out my tip in ones. with which he would beckon and retreat deeper into the trailer. His wife kept eyeing me and giggling. I ended it at $3 worth of tip and just left as stoically as I could. Then broke down laughing maniacally in my car. I've been delivering food in general for 2 years. I've done just over 3,500 deliveries and unfortunately I haven't seen a single strange thing, not even something simple like a naked person. One of our neighbors killed a pizza guy. Pizza guy was working his way through college. Neighbor got life for very premeditated murder. There was this house where a young couple had ordered pizza. I reached quite early and probably disturbed their sex session. The drunk dude had no idea that he had put on his girl's skirt. Not strange, but very difficult not to laugh at. This guy would order boneless chicken wings, a 2-liter of Diet Pepsi and the cinnamon rolls every Friday. I can't remember the name on the order, I think it was Michelle. Well, a woman never answered the door and this guy gave us all the heebie-jeebies. One day I said, oh, why is Michelle always on the order? Michelle was his cat. The cat would eat the chicken and he would eat the cinnamon rolls. I don't know if this counts as strange, but there was this one house I'd frequently deliver to. Polite woman in her late 20s, maybe early 30s would answer. And every time I'd deliver pizza there, her 3-year-old son would run up all excited and say thanks dad. Or craziest coincidence, I delivered pizza to this guy. He tipped me with $3 2 bills. 2 months later, I went off to college, 750 miles away, and he was my intro calculus professor. Not something I've seen but something I helped arrange for a pizza delivery guy. Worked at a pizza place in high school. One of the delivery guys was a former Army Ranger. He was a blast and loved practical jokes. Well, we had a new delivery guy start one night and the Army Ranger called and ordered pizza. We thought it would be funny to play a joke on new guy, so we asked Army Ranger to do something funny to new guy when he shows up. New guy goes out and delivers the pizza to Army Ranger, not knowing he also worked there, and when he came back he was very quiet and looked a little disturbed. I called up Army Ranger and asked him what he did to new guy. Army Ranger answered the door wearing his girlfriend's lingerie and an army helmet. Not the sight a new driver is hoping to see, I suspect. Edit. Thank you, kind strangers. When the karma is low and the upvotes are slow, I'll point to this thread as proof that I can read it. One time while out for a delivery, I get to this house and a dude with no shirt on. Scraggly curly hair and beard going every direction. Eyes red as the devil's DCK. Looks like he's been up for days. Holds up a mandolin and just says, do you know how to play this thing? I chuckle and say no. The dude slumps and looks down. Yells back to friends. Duckman. Pizza company. Guy doesn't know either. Another friend came to pay me and took the pizza. Not entirely crazy, but definitely memorable. Had a customer's outside cat bring him a dead squirrel with its heart visible from its chest cavity ripped open once as I was delivering the food. That was something. Also had a couple of old gay guys try to coerce me into entering their home, which was mostly hidden from view after their front door hallway. Opted out of that one real quick. Dude tried to say he'd tip me $10 more next time if I came inside. One of the most noteworthy customers though was this guy named David. Dude must have been over 50 and kept telling me way too much about his personal life. By the time I had finished working at that job, I knew all about his crackhead GF, now deceased, her daughter, whom he described as smoking hot, his intentions of trading sex with her for drugs, his plan to open a sex dojo where he would be the guru and women would supposedly pay to come have sex with him. Dude always talked to me like I was his long lost friend. So it could have been worse. A dude answering the door with a full-blown stiffy. Didn't expect us to deliver early. A guy was taking the order while his GF was blowing him. That was just creepy. Thanks irons for online payments, since I didn't have to touch anything he handled. I was working at Domino's and we received a call for 2 pepperoni pizzas, and when I showed up to the house there was an older looking man and his dog on the roof. He didn't say anything about being on the roof. I raised my voice to tell him I was the pizza guy and he just looked at me and then he just jumps from the roof. It was only about 10 or 11 feet high but it was kinda scary. He landed fine and gave me the money. I asked him about the dog and he said that there was always an open window so his dog can get on there and see the stars at night. I hope this man and his dog are doing good. Lots of sword fights. I delivered pizzas in college. Once, I delivered a pizza to a seemingly normal house. Some middle-aged guy answered the door and said, "I'm waiting on my wife to get you your tip." I'm like, "Okay then." Then, I hear another man's voice say, "I'll get it." And the front door guy screamed, "Oh no. Not you, Ronnie. You're naked." Strangest thing would be when I had to deliver pizza to my uncle. Of course it had to be a family member. Me being me, I walked in his house without ringing. Just because he is my uncle and I am his favorite. When I went in, I caught him playing Halo 4 inches his boxers and screaming at the TV. He died laughing and he nearly threw, edited, his remote at me. I learned to never walk in on him again. Delivered pizza for 2 years. The strangest thing was a woman ordering right next door, €2 extra for delivery. When she opened the door she was almost naked, wearing only a bra. Had huge fake breasts and lip fillers. Platinum long hair. Your textbook bimbo. The order was €18 and was already paid online. I told her it was already paid. However, the lady took €20 out of her bra and handed them over to me. Winked and said, "Keep the change." Needless to say, it made my day. Edit. Delivered pizza to my friend's house. My then GF opened the door. Was at this house. I knock on the door and a moment later a kid probably 8 or 9 comes screaming down the hall and face plants into it from the other side. His mom opens it a few seconds later. One time I was delivering to this really nice house. Almost like a mansion tbh. So the guy comes waltzing out this big ass front door clearly intoxicated. Just all over the place. He attempts to give me the money but starts blabbering on about something I can't understand. While he's scavenging around his pockets trying to find the rest that he owes me until this one woman comes out shouting, "Let's call him Leo BTW, Leo. Leo. What are you doing out here? Oh god, what are we gonna do with you?" She apologizes for Leo and proceeds to pay and tip pretty well, all while Leo gets one last question in with a smile ear to ear. "Dot. You like MILF?" She's single. I'm kinda just taken aback. At the time, as a 16-year-old kid, just driving food around it just threw me off. She then proceeds to scold him in a motherly type way, "I am not single. This is my boyfriend's house." Nothing crazy, but always thought it was funny nonetheless. I showed up to this massive house and a grandma showed up to the door and the first thing I smelled was a shit ton of weed. This house not only smelled like weed, it literally was foggy inside. The grandma who opened the door was baked as shit and everyone else was. They invited me inside for a second, gave me a fat tip and I left. Edit. Delivered 10 pizzas to a retirement gated community. Got to the apartment and like 8 seniors are playing Naked Twister. At age 17. This was not a good sight. But they did tip well. I no longer do deliveries, but one that has stayed with me was delivering to a house and this guy answers the door in a blood covered apron and a handsaw. The smell of blood was so strong you could taste it. So as he went to get his money, I pulled my phone and dialed 911 and put it back in my pocket. The transaction took about 9 or 10 minutes. As I got in my car I could see the first blue light, so I pulled out calmly and then stopped to tell them I had called. Luckily there was no murder. It turns out he had hit a deer and just loaded it up in his truck and was butchering it and decided he wanted pizza. He ordered again and asked for me by name. He apologized for the misunderstanding and though he didn't tip me in money he offered me deer sausage. I declined for fear he was mad and was trying to poison me. We had an order for something like 15 bottles of water. No food. Fair enough. Get up to the flat and I can hear some hardcore drum and bass music. The door opens and I'm greeted by 3 people all wide-eyed looking like a group of barn owls. Definitely smashing me but looked like they were having a great time. Retired pizza driver. This one time I made a simple delivery to a 30-day rent-a-room motel plaza. Towards the far back of the plaza hidden among some trees. And the dude answered. I could slightly make out what I can only imagine was a meth lab in the back. He seen me glance at it and quickly adjusted the door so I could not see past him. Delivery went normal and proceeded to tip me $30 on a $14 order. I often used to deliver pizza to motels on the Berlin Turnpike and CT, from what I've heard. The #1 spot for human trafficking in the state of CT. But don't quote me on it. I'm not 100% on that. I only worked at the pizza place for 3 or 4 months. But I saw people getting arrested in the room next to my delivery and cops staring me down like a methodica. A couple instances with men who had wedding rings and multiple naked girls in the motel room too young to be their wives. And a lot of people who would answer the door hi SF. I eventually quit because there was a series of muggings where people would order food in for delivery and then mug the delivery drivers. I realized when I bought a switchblade to keep on myself for protection that maybe this job wasn't worth having. I once told a customer, either you're smoking some killer weed or you've got a skunk running around in there. I would always tell my customers, it smells good in there. Paranoia equals bigger tip. And that's all I was ever after. Just the tip. Pizza delivery services are always open rain, shine, or blizzard. I was delivering pizza during a blizzard in western Michigan. I was driving downtown on a main drag when all of a sudden my car starts spinning. I realized I hit a patch of ice and there was nothing I could do. I saw parked cars and electrical poles on both sides of the street and I was sure I was going to total my car. Instead, my car just kept spinning until I completed a full 360 degrees and kept on going in the direction I needed to go. The pizza was delivered.